Good afternoon. Welcome back to the B&H virtual event space. Today, we are taking a trip into the world of sound. Going to be looking at some of Arturia's new products. They're wonderful products from their catalog. And for that, look, I'm already nervous because we got somebody here. He's got a better setup than me. He's better at what I do than I do. He's the successful multi-platinum, Grammy-nominated, multi-instrumentalist, producer, songwriter. He's worked with Dre, the Queen of Soul. I just dyed my hair blonde back in the early 2000s, so I don't count. But Blu2th, what's going on, man?
What's going on, bro?
I'm chilling here. I'm over here. I'm sweating your setup.
Thank you.
You got it. You got it all put together over there. You look great. Sound great.
I gotta thank B&H, man.
Then I gotta thank you. I gotta thank you for keeping me employed, because I know it's not cheap to put together.
I may have single-handedly done so I really appreciate that.
Nice. You got me on a 10-year plan over here, so I'm gonna return the favor. Look, man, we got a lot to get to today. You're an explorer of music. I know you're super passionate about the craft, and that's one of the things that I love is that it's not just music for you, it's everything. You dabble in a little bit of everything, video, photo, all that stuff. So I want to start this whole thing off. We're gonna get to the music, but where did it start for you? When did your love of music start? How did you get started in producing music?
In vitro, I think. I had to ask my mom when I started playing piano because people kept asking me and I had no idea. I literally didn't remember starting. So I was like, Mom, when did I start playing piano? She said, well, you became fascinated around 18 months. So I was like, okay. She said I didn't have a playpen, I just had a piano. And she used to clean the whole house. And I would just sit on the piano stool and just kind of listen. I wouldn't bang on it. I would listen and really be like, as I'm playing this at 18 months old. And she could clean the whole house and I would stay there. You're not supposed to have a attention span like that at that age.
You got lucky. That's parenting done right when it meets
one-on-one, man.
That rare blend of somebody who that you get that kid that's just like they're gifted from the start. They're gonna take it.
And I just kept playing piano forever and started writing songs at a young age. And then I didn't play anything else but piano until I was 18. And I accidentally picked up guitar. I was at college and everybody else went on Christmas break. And this guy named Desmond came to my room before Christmas break, before he left. He was like, yo, man, can I just keep this in your room? I was like, yeah, whatever. Put it in the closet, right? It was an acoustic guitar. And about 6 months before that, I had picked up an acoustic guitar, messed with it, and was like, yeah. I was in a room by myself and I said out loud, yeah, I'm a keyboard player, and put it down. Right? 6 months later, he brings a guitar, but I'm the only person on campus, right? And then like a week in, I'm like, oh, there's a guitar in my closet. Let me just pick that up and see. And for some reason, everything started to click that time. So when everybody got back, they were like, I thought you didn't play guitar. And I was like, I didn't. And they were even more confused. That didn't help at all. But that was my intro to guitar. It's kind of like learning how to drive on a stick, learning how to play on an acoustic, because it's just physically more difficult. And when I gave it back, I was like, well, I gotta have one. So I went and got an acoustic, and then I got my first electric. And as soon as I got it, I went and asked the minister of music at a 2,000 member church, do you need a guitarist? And like put myself in front of 2,000 people every week immediately. Like I just jumped into it. And
no
that's
nerves.
Because it's okay to mess up. That's the thing. Messing up, everyone does. When you listen to a record, you're listening to a collection of last takes. You're not listening to everything the person did in the studio. They could have messed up. If you're listening to the Beat It solo, that's one take, and it's Eddie Van Halen. He only did one take. So yes, sometimes. But usually you're listening to a collection of last ideas, last takes, all the mistakes you go through and all the takes you go through to get there don't matter in the final analysis. So I was like, I'm learning right now. If I mess up on this stage, I don't care. So I just got better because of that lack of fear. You know, you're willing to try things, you're willing to go places if you're not afraid. And a lot of times it does work out.
Now, how do we get to where we are now? I mean, you're obviously a super accomplished producer. You've worked with a ton of artists, different concentrations, different genres.
Yeah.
What led you to that?
Well, I went to Oakwood College. A lot of people may know where that is, but it's where Take Six went, the group. Um, Kirk Franklin was there for a while. Um, Even Prince went through there a little bit. But it's a very musical place. It's a place where you can like tag the first three people you see on campus and say, "Here's your part," and not even ask if they can sing. It's like that type of situation.
Mm,
So it was a huge incubator for the talent that I was and the skill that I had. That's where I picked up guitar. That's where I picked up, I think, three other instruments. So, going there and then staying in Huntsville. So I was in Huntsville, Alabama for 9 years. And I call that my incubation period because that's when nothing was requiring anything from me but myself. So I was learning at my own pace everything. Like I wasn't an engineer before then. I had to figure out what a studio even was, like what the parts of it are, how to which of everything to get. All of those daunting things, you walk into a guitar stand and you see 1,000 mics on the wall and you're starting. It's like, how do I know which of anything to get? I went through all that. Uh, Went through different DAWs, went through different computers. I call that my multi-$100 studio that I was in Huntsville, Alabama, and that's where I learned pretty much all the building blocks of what I do today from a technical standpoint. Those are the years when I did that. I had the music theory, I understood that,
mhm.
but the technical stuff was that period of time. So when I came to California, I was way overqualified for anything they need me to do here because I didn't come at 17. I came at 27,
Interesting.
right? So I learned everything before I got here. But when I got here, I only played guitar. I didn't tell anybody I did anything else. Guitars are portable. You can throw them on your back and walk to a gig, and they might even have an amp there. It's easy. I had a very signature looking guitar. I'm 6'4", so you got this new guy in town. He's 6'4", and he's playing a guitar that looks very signature, like one you've never seen before. It's kind of a branding thing. I became known as the new guitarist in town, in this town. So I was playing everywhere. And when I would go to the studio to play guitar for somebody is when I would say, "Yeah, I do that too." And they'd be like, "Oh, you play keys too?" And I'd be like, "I play guitar too." And they'd be like, "What?" Like keys is my primary instrument. They'd be like, "Okay, oh wait, wait, you're here because you play." I said, I know, just yeah, I play keys." So then I'd end up arranging vocals. I'd end up engineering. I'd end up doing whatever was necessary in the studio. And that's kind of what led me to my first entrance into the music industry, which was the Underdogs. I became musical director for a guy named Bobby Newt. And I was playing guitar and I was a musical director for him. And then one day he was just like, "There's somebody you need to know." And he just took me to the Edmonds Tower, Babyface's building, which is Diane Warren now, which was Atlantic before that. There's a lot of history. Some of the Chronic was recorded there.
Oh,
TLC it's a lot of history in that. No Air, we did No Air there, and the Dreamgirl soundtrack. So it's a lot of history in that room. But I went there, I met Damon Thomas, and I played this thing just to hear what the piano sounded like. And he lost it. He lost it. Went through all the hallway. "Hey, come here, let him play." I was like, I didn't even think that was that dope. But he still literally has me play that for anybody he introduced me to this day. So I did that. He was like, "You want to work with us?" And that's when I entered the industry. That's kind of like who put me in the game.
hmm.
And then we did the No Airs and Dreamgirl soundtracks and the Tyrese record. I did one by Tyrese there and some other stuff. Later on, just doing freelance work around town. And then later on, I met Focus, who introduced me to Dre. And I've been with Dre now for 9 years.
Wow. Wow. What a story. And now you're sitting here with me. I apologize.
Ever
Well,
higher, man.
there we go. Well, look,
Up
man,
and up and up.
you got a lot of great toys there. The reason
Yeah.
everybody's here, of course, we want to get an introduction to your studio, to all these great
All
Arturia
right.
products that you use. So I'm gonna step aside for a moment. I'm gonna let Blu2th kind of take over here, and he's gonna talk to us about what he uses on a day-to-day basis, the products that help him get to where he needs to be musically. And let's go for a ride, man.
All right. Let me just first shout out Arturia, the people that I works with a lot. Their stuff is, from a hardware and software standpoint, some of the best stuff in the world. Like, just honorable mention before I even get started. There's this baby here. If I'm in the studio with Dre, this is the interface that I'm using. If
What's that
anybody's
right
wondering, like,
there?
what's the best interface on earth for a portable rig, it's this one. This is the AudioFuse Studio.
And what does that do? Is that
So
like
this
a
this is the audio interface between whatever audio you have, your guitars, keyboard, synths, and your computer. This is USB-C connected to your computer. And there's just so many ways to route it, however you want to route it, whatever you want to go where. It also has a hub back here, which is actually this kind of stuff is actually, let me get my face out of the way so it'll focus. There we go. So the FX3 that I probably got from B&H will focus. Uh, so you got a hub back here, and a lot of us have iLocks. Also, the new computers are nothing but USB-C. So not to have to carry another hub around and just be able to throw your iLock in the back of this, throw your keyboard controller in the back of here, through your USB-A, which most still are, right? And just go to town, bro. Like,
so that's controlling all your levels,
yeah,
whatever instruments
my
you're putting
guitar is
in.
here, my bass is usually there. Here's my preamps. Right? All this stuff lights up and looks super cool, like some Star Trek type stuff. When it opens up, I got phantom power on these. I got a pad. I can say instrument or not. The other thing about this too, right? Okay, so one time I was in the studio with Dre and P. Diddy was there. And Dre was recording P. Diddy in the front. Like, that's what's happening at the console, right? I'm at the credenza right behind them having a whole nother session, bro. Like, there were some other producers there, and they were like, yo, can you play on this? I was like, had a bass here, guitar here, keys here. They were like, yo, man, can you put some bass on this real quick for me? I was like, yeah. So what I did was I said, give me your headphones. And I put their headphones here and my headphones there. And we were in a room together.
So you're just laying down a bass track.
I'm laying down bass tracks while they're cutting
While
vocals.
wow.
Because I muted right here, from here to there, right? So they can't hear what I'm doing, but the phone's volume is still up. So I got them hearing me here, and I'm cutting. Back there putting piano on this and guitar on this and bass on that, sending it over to them, and they're like, yo, I just put in the session, this is sweet. And like, we're literally like bad kids in the back of school talking to each other in a place where you don't get kicked out for that. So it was actually kind of cool. This is
Wow.
sweet. Now, so you have both 1/4 inch and 1/8 inch on this. The cool thing about that is both of them work. So you can plug 4 into this and 2 levels. So you got this level and that level. And you can adjust them individually here and what input they come from. This is like, it's unbelievable, man.
Pretty much
It's,
everything if you're for musicians out there, and on the go, everything you need to control,
yes.
whatever you need to
Arturia is
control.
really good about accommodating anyone who's starting all the way to the professional. And sometimes it's the same piece of gear. And for some reason, they're just good at doing that, making something that appeals to every place on the spectrum. Like, you got that, and then you got this, which is like a bigger version of that. This is 16 ends in the back. This is an AudioFuse too, but this is
Oh
the
wow.
AudioFuse. Oh, I got it upside down. That's the AudioFuse 16 rig, right? Which
So
can be
that's
used standalone. It's still a hub. You got these here. You got, if you don't want to go back here, 1 and 2 are in the front. So you can still plug your guitar, your bass in there. You got your headphones over here. So this is crazy too. And it's priced really well.
So is that just
Their
a more
barrier of entry is
professional
little.
version of the smaller, or way
I can't even
way
say
more
more
involved?
professional because I use a smaller one more. So it's like
Interesting.
it's just specialties,
Okay.
right? So the smaller one can record Bluetooth. Now, not just record me, um, because of course it records Bluetooth, but it also records Bluetooth. So you can actually hit a button, and then 9 and 10 input become your Bluetooth connection. So your phone can be anywhere, any source in the world. You can just have YouTube playing on your phone and hit record and sample that directly into your DAW from the Bluetooth connection. Like that's crazy. So, but that's for certain situations. And the bigger one is for like, okay, this stays in my rack. I got a lot of analog stuff that I need to plug in through 1/4 inch cables. It's going to accommodate all that. And then you got ADAT and everything too. So it's just a different person or a different situation because I'm the same person that might need both because I might have the 16 here and I might use the AudioFuse in my mobile rig. So yeah, they think, you know, they're thinkers.
Well, we always love stuff
Let's see.
that can go either way. It's good to have something where it's like you don't just have, like you said, you don't just have stuff for professionals and then stuff for beginners.
Right,
When you have stuff that you can get as someone starting out, but grow into it and still have a use for it once you
right,
grow into it.
and the thing is that saves you a lot of money
Yeah.
because if you like, it's like buying kids shoes. You know what I'm saying?
Don't even go there.
Like,
I got a 6 year
like,
old, man.
just think.
That's a soft
Like,
subject.
yeah, just think if your 6-year-old was born with size 13s and they just stayed that way for his life. Yes, he would look really crazy, but he'd be able to do the Michael Jackson move
Yeah. I can finally get him Jordans
as a
and without,
child. You know what I'm saying? And once you buy them shoes, they're good.
yeah.
You know? Right? That's kind of how it is buying like an audio fuse or something like that. Because if you're just getting into it, you ain't got to worry about another audio interface
Interesting.
pretty much forever. You're not going to grow out of it. So that kind of thing is important for somebody starting out because the more you have to get to a stage and grow out of your gear is the
Mhm.
more long-term money you got to spend. And then you got to figure out how you can sell it or you got to, what do you trade it, give it away. It's just a lot of stuff that ain't music that you got to think about
Mhm.
because, you know, you may not have made that purchase that might have cost the same, but lasted you well into your development.
Yeah. And somebody like me is going to look and say, all right, well, he's using this every day with Dre. If it's good enough for Dre, it's good enough for me in my living room. It's good enough for a garage
Yeah, man.
band.
Dude, very big, very, very big hit records have been made with so much less.
Mm.
Like it's at the end of the day, you know, from a pixel peeping, from a audio standpoint, it's really easy to start focusing on numbers and specs. And this goes up to 96 kilohertz. When are you gonna record a 96 kil? You know, stuff like that. Like, like come on, man. This
The
camera
overkill.
is 70,000 megapixels. Like, okay, bro, like 24 will get you pretty much everywhere you want to go,
Yeah.
and it won't take so long to edit. It's like stuff like that. It's not just more is better all the time.
Mm.
It's who are you? What do you need? What is your end goal? What are your objectives? And purchase accordingly. The issue is you don't have a lot of professionals telling you what that is.
Yeah.
So that's what that's what I'm here for.
You want
If
something that's
anybody,
more intuitive, something that's going to
yeah,
work the way you need it to work. And it's going to provide, like, even like what you said, the Bluetooth thing that might not
yeah,
jump out to a lot of people, but for somebody who's on the go or somebody who's like, yeah, I just want ease.
huge. Sometimes Dre will be in the studio like, yo, I want to sample this record from the 70s. I could pull it up on YouTube and just sample it.
Mm.
Just like, just that fast. It's going right
Wow.
into my DAW. I can sample from anywhere, whether it's YouTube or somebody playing something into my system. Like I can sample anything, anywhere, and say, here's the file. That kind of stuff, you know, you can have all the specs you want, but your productivity really comes from workflow. So anything that interrupts a train of thought sucks. That's really, at the end of the day, you can have all the specs in the world, but if you don't facilitate my workflow or even enhance it, make me think this is a better way to do it because I have this gear, you know? It suggests you ways to work that are more efficient. That's the stuff that's priceless because when you're in a fast-paced environment, like, dude, Dre will give up on a track faster than he will think of it. Like he will, this ain't working, and it just have to go to another. I've actually had to bet, yo, stay with me on this one. Don't go right now. They be like, all right. You know, but I only do that if I feel really, really strongly about it because I don't want to waste more time. But quickly, man, just being able to, okay, I got an idea. Can we play this right here? And we know whether it works or it doesn't work. That is, that comes from not only your skill, but your gear and how quickly you can switch between different pieces of gear and things like that, and how they facilitate your workflow. So Arturia is really good at making stuff that facilitates a real studio workflow and trains your mind to think like a professional producer.
Okay. What is it that you use other than that on a daily basis? I mean, you were talking before. Oh, there it is. I was going to say you were talking software, hardware.
Yeah, so we got Logic right here, and this is a shameless plug for my Christmas project. This is one of the songs on it. This is called God Rest. This is God Rest You Merry Gentlemen, right? Oh, that's not what I want to be playing right now. Right? You know that song. That's not what it sounds like at all on my project. It sounds more like this. Yeah, so we got me playing my guitar. Me playing piano. Me going to my Latin, not really roots at all. And then my friend, Corey Henry. That's him. All right, so you can hear this on all your platforms right now. Because Christmas is coming. I don't know when people are going to see this, but Christmas is coming up right now, so I just put that album out. This is the one with Corey Henry on it. Shout out to Corey Henry, one of the best keyboardists we got today. And he actually hopped on this for me. I just asked him to, and he did it. That's just incredible. Thank you so much, Corey. So yeah, so I got right now. Let's talk about the PolyBrute real quick. You know what? Let's talk about the PolyBrute.
Yeah, before we went live, when I logged on to this call in the green room, you were raving about it. So now I got to hear what's the magic, man.
So the PolyBrute. Okay, all right. See that keyboard in the bottom right?
Okay.
That's the PolyBrute, man. It is fully analog, and it is fully digitally controlled, which is already crazy, right? So right now here's my PolyBrute channel, and here's an audio channel that is coming back in from, and I just got the input on so I can hear that when I play this. So it basically acts like a software instrument, and this is what it looks like. So now you can see it's the same interface. Every button on the actual piece of gear is in here.
Wow.
So I got a lead pulled up. Just come on, man. Like, that's crazy. Damn. So like, it's crazy. Like this keyboard.
You're making it look too easy.
It's my bad. I'll grunt next time.
Bluetooth, can I interrupt for just 2 seconds?
Yes.
If I may? My apologies.
Absolutely.
Are you able to increase the resolution on the Logic screen by chance? Is there any way?
Oh, let me see. You should be. I should have it that way. But let me make sure.
Sometimes on Zoom it'll choke it.
Yeah, Zoom sometimes switches.
Oh, it changed it. Okay, it just changed my whole situation. So How does that look?
Much better. Thank
Yeah.
you.
There we go.
Appreciate that. So you can see that the keys are going down on the.
What?
Come on, man. I can record that MIDI. I can adjust the MIDI and then I can bounce it down audio after it's like, it's the best of both worlds. And any sound you can think of that a synth can make, you can get out of this. So like, if you're thinking of having a bunch of synths and which synth should I get? If you want one synth that's going to do everything, get this one. And it's hooked up USB and audio. So fully controlled here. So now you can recall everything that you do without actually having to go over there. And, you know, we used to write down diagrams and stuff and like, you know, try to figure out what things are. Like, okay, how do I recall? How do I get the sound? What if you want to punch it 2 weeks later? You got to play the whole solo again because you can't recall it. Now you can.
Wow. And I'm sitting over here. My son's got this little basic keyboard. I'm like, man, I know I'm gonna end up spending money.
That's what this is not, bro. It's not a basic keyboard. It's a serious keyboard, and it's a serious piece of software as well.
Who's using this Bluetooth? I mean, realistically, is this something any musician should have something like this?
It depends on the kind of musician, you know, because I mean, it kind of depends. Again, any synth sound you want, you can get out of this thing. So like, if you're making trap, you can make pads that nobody else is gonna have, because if you understand how to adjust the stuff on the synth, nobody else is gonna be able to have that sound. You know, when I was in Ty Dolla $ign's studio, he's got one of these. And in my studio is one of these. I couldn't really not recommend it to anybody unless you just absolutely don't play keys or even never have anybody come over who does. You know, it's like the only person that I can't recommend this to.
So it's like it's something where this has everything you would need, even if you don't know how to use it. Whereas if somebody's just got pads, that's it. You're stuck there.
If you're gonna call in a keyboardist to, you know, make something happen, and they're like, you don't need to bring your own synth, you don't. If you have this, you know, if they know how to get around these knobs, they got it. So, and of course, it's recallable. So you yourself, after they leave, what if you want somebody else to come and play a part later and punch what they've done? If it's a regular analog synth, you're not going to get back to that sound. But in this, you just call it up, save it, call it up. It gets saved with the session once you do it, and that's the same sound. And you know it's exactly the same sound at the same level. Everything is the same. So
it's essentially like, for a photographer like me, to put it in my terms, it would be like saving like a Photoshop file, like a PSD of your session, where you can pull it up. It's gonna have everything there as you.
Yeah.
Wow.
Absolutely. You know, people who are used to like SSL consoles, if you want to pull up a mix, you gotta remember where everything is on the whole. It doesn't matter how many buttons are on SSL, right? You got to take every one of those and put it, every channel where it was. Every channel. It takes a minute just to start mixing until you got to the digital age where now you can control things digitally, and they applied that to this keyboard. So it's crazy. I can't sing its praises enough. So I got that. And then, okay, we're also talking bang for buck. And the more you get for what you spend, the better off you are, and the happier human you are. I can pretty much say that with confidence, no matter who you are. So let's go to Analog Lab. Let me see, where's home, right? So I'm taking you home because you got all this goodness inside. I'm gonna show you all the instruments. This is all the instruments that are in this one plugin.
Wow.
So every one of these synths is in here. So if I want to go to a Yamaha Dx7, let me see, I think I got one in here. Yamaha Dx7. Okay, cool. So Yamaha Dx7. That is exactly what a Yamaha Dx7 sounds like. For those who are wondering, that is what it sounds like. However, if I want to get deep into it, I can go into the keyboard and do it. And I can hit advanced and go even deeper into that. So
Wow, so it's got the whole setup there.
you got everything the keyboard had and more, because you have graphical representations and stuff. So I can change the envelopes and all that type of stuff. Or you can just call up a sound and play it. So, you know, either one of those approaches is fine. But if you have a KeyLab, voila, right? That has the same buttons as you have on the screen. So if you want to turn your master level down, there's a knob right where it is on the screen. If I want to turn my reverb up, it's right there. Give me some reverb, give me some delay. Yeah. A DX7, to me, like, it already sounds more luscious with that reverb, right?
It's like I'm back at church.
Okay. All right, but what is a DX7 without chorus, man? Like, come on, man. It's like bread's cool, but like butter though, like, yeah. Yes. That's what I'm talking about. Dude, come on, man. That's like, it's a DX7.
You know what's wild to me, and maybe it's because, you know, I don't know a thing about music, but just even seeing what you're playing while you're playing it, to me, like, man, the times that my son's playing on his little keyboard, I'm like, I don't know what you just played or how to replicate it or which notes you're hitting, and it's like, I feel like even just that, like, it's cool to see it on screen rather than growing up in just an analog world where it was like, we didn't have you have everything on the screen now.
Yes,
you can emulate really pretty much anything, right? Anything analog you
and
can
even
emulate.
because of that, like, some people will ask me, yo, how do you play this, or ask me how to learn something, and I can screen capture this and I can play it and they can see what I'm playing.
Is that up at the top? So up there at the top, it's like, it even has the notes, right?
Oh,
Up
yeah,
up in the top. I'm like, I'm looking.
Yeah, if I play a D flat major,
wow,
it says D flat.
wow.
Oh wow, that's Chipmunks. Right? That's hilarious. Sometimes I'll just start playing stuff and it'll be like, wait a minute. That's like Doogie Howser. So, but some sounds they put you, because that's the sound they use on the song. It's like, wait, that's Doogie Howser. So, yeah, but like the...
And will you just go in and just record a session and just go off and just start? I mean, when you go in to make a beat to work on a song, what's the process like as far as from the hardware and software standpoint?
So, okay, from a hardware and software standpoint, wherever I start, it's, people ask me, what do you do first all the time? You know, like, when you sit down, what's the first thing you do? And I give them the answer, which probably doesn't help them very much. I know it doesn't, but it's the truth. So, so I give it to them anyway, and maybe it'll help later. It's like a starfish, right? You can cut a starfish anywhere. The body will grow a leg and the leg will grow a body. So for me, it could start from anywhere because I'm literally driving down the street or I'm getting up out of bed and I think of a melody or I'm practicing on guitar and I come up with this guitar lick. I'm like, that's a whole record. So I just come here to start with the guitar lick. And I might sit down with absolutely no ideas and start with some drums. But whatever the idea is, it then gives everything an organic mind of its own, and it then everything is relative to each other. So once you do one thing, you've caused yourself to think of something else, which then modifies the first thing you thought of, which keeps going on until the song is complete. It never stops. Just for people, you know, you don't have to commit to every idea that you have just because you played it and you recorded it. That doesn't make you a better producer just because you committed to it, right? Commit to nothing until you're done, right? Because you might do something at the very last part of the process that's like, oh man, that'd be even doper if I did this with the sample, but the sample's the first thing you did. Redo it. There's nothing wrong with that. It happens all the time. Studio with me, studio with Dre, studio with Beyonce. It doesn't matter who it is. The most highly creative people understand that everything is up for grabs and everything is throwing stuff against the wall and seeing if it sticks until you're done. And done means abandoned, not finished. Right?
Interesting.
There's no such thing as finished because there's always something else you could do to anything.
Great point.
Like even from a photo standpoint, you know, dude, like, come on, should it be more contrasty or should
I love that. Done means
black
abandoned.
enough? Are the whites white enough? Or
What do I gotta add?
is it saturated enough? Like you could you can do that until you never put anything out.
Yeah.
Right? But in order for something to come out, you have to decide when is a good time to abandon this. Not when is it finished. When am I going to call it finished? When am I going to call it done?
Can you talk a little bit about, I want to know about the ecosystem because there's so many different products out there, software and hardware. And one of the things that, you know, whether it's video, photo, phones, like, man, the only reason I switched over to Mac computers was because I had an iPhone. It was an ecosystem thing. I wanted to be able to airdrop stuff that I was working on my computer to my phone. Can you talk about the Arturia ecosystem and how that helps you and what you do?
That is such a good question. Okay, so one thing that helps is having different kinds of gear, right? Because we all have to have all these gear. We all have to have software, and we all have to have hardware to control it. If the hardware and the software are made with each other in mind, your workflow just went crazy. See what I mean? So just like you have these knobs here and they correspond to what you see on the screen, that means when you have an idea and you're executing that idea, you don't have a barrier like, okay, now I got to go to my mouse and go click this and bring it up and come back here. And then I got to think differently when I do each thing. You got, okay, so like on my PolyBrute, I got that lead pulled up. It is the L-A-Y-A. See, that happens like every time. Back, forth and forth. That lead's way better than the lead in the song, by the way. That lead's incredible. Anyway, so
Took it back.
I wish they had that lead. So now, let's try to play what's on the audio track. It's not gonna work. So that's the MIDI track. That's the audio track it's coming back into, and I got Arturia effects on the audio track it's coming back into.
Wow.
I just can't get away from it. You know what I'm saying? Like everywhere I look, it's Arturia in my face, and that's a good thing. That's a really good thing. So I got two delays on this. I got a quick delay, and I got a longer delay on the same thing, which I do with a guitar a lot. If I'm playing like a distortion solo, I do that. So I basically emulated that with these two plugins from Arturia, playing from the PolyBrute, from Arturia, through the software that controls the Arturia, PolyBrute. So one company just provided me with everything I need to get down, besides the DAW, right? You know, in the DAW of choice, you can pull all that stuff and get to work. So not every company has a real ecosystem. Because when you talk about an ecosystem, even like in nature, you're talking about a bunch of different systems symbiotically working together. In one company, you don't always have a bunch of systems, but in Arturia, you got the software and the hardware. So they can talk to each other and seamlessly integrate through controlling and communication among your gear, your whole workflow. So you don't have to go outside of what you're thinking of and come back in the middle of your workflow. So it's a big deal when it comes to, companies that make hardware and software. What you need to look at when you have a company like that is how well does their stuff integrate with each other? How seamlessly can I just think and do and have it happen? Arturia is really good at that.
You don't want to piss Dre off and make him wait.
What did you say?
I said you don't want to piss Dre off and make him wait.
I don't want to piss Dre off and make him wait. And I don't want to lose this idea because I made him wait either.
Exactly.
I don't want to be like, he just gave up on that. I really like that idea.
You gotta be quicker than that. We had a request. We want to hear some more sounds from the Analog Lab and see some more. So we're gonna give you a full range to just get down for a little bit here.
Let's just randomly look through things. How about that? How about random looking
let's go
through?
for it.
So that's my Yamaha DX7. Just to let you know, the Yamaha DX7 is a real keyboard. It's a model of an actual keyboard that kind of changed the industry when it came out. When the DX7 came out, that sound, how luscious that is, right? That sound was in every song. When it came out, everybody was like, that is the coldest EP in the world. EP being electric piano on earth. So everybody used it. So it's a very iconic thing. So it also means you kind of got to do it right, because we producers know what a DX7 sounds like. So if you give me a DX7 that don't sound like a DX7, I'm going to talk about you real bad in public. Among my peers, you know what I'm saying? Because I'm not going to look crazy. So I'm going to talk about you really bad. And I only have good things to say about that. By the way, look, that's okay. That's the presets. That's not even halfway all the presets. Like that. That's what I'm talking about, right? There's so many sounds. There's so many sounds. But a better way to do that, right? So you can go here and just say all presets, which is crazy, or you can go bass, right, and just go to basses, and you can go to brass and woodwind. So you actually have categories that you can go to and do that. And you can also do it, say you go to the home screen, you have that here too, right? So you got basses here, you got, what is this, bass stuff? Okay, so pulling up the bass. Oh, look at that. You can see that, right? That's real life, people. That's real life. Sometimes there's a beach ball that comes up on your screen and you can't decide when. That's what we got right now. This is, again, I don't care if you're in the studio with Barbra Streisand. Sometimes there's a little beach ball that comes up on your screen. You got to say, Barbara, hold up. My computer tripping. Like, yeah. This is when Dre usually won't give up, though. I'll be like, yo, my computer's down. I can't. Like, it's just acting stupid. This is not Arturia's fault. This happens with everything.
Well, look, while we have the beach ball there, the B3, the MiniFuse, either of those, any thoughts?
The B3 I have to play for you. That's important. Because you have these, if you can see these, right? You see these? These guys here, those are faders. Those faders become your drawbars when you pull up the organ. So for organists out there, when you start playing, you got your actual drawbars. You got 9 faders, just like you have 9 drawbars, and they correspond exactly the way they should on the organ. So you can just go in. And then your modulation wheel is the Leslie. So you normally have the Leslie right here. It's right next to there, and you got drawbars right here. So you can go in. So I probably have to restart Logic, which, all right, whatever. Let's do this so you don't have to like see this go down. I don't want you guys to have to see this.
It's good. This is real life, like you
It's
said.
nasty stuff. It's nasty, nasty stuff.
It's our virtual world we live in.
It's the virtual world that we live in.
That's it.
But when things weren't virtual and they were real, guess what? They broke down too. You think that didn't happen in Michael Jackson sessions? Yes, of course. They had to take a break for the engineer to be like, hold up.
And it's a hell of a lot easier to fix things now when sometimes it's just
Oh my God, yeah. I mean, yeah. Then a lot of times it took a recut. Like it took you have to redo it, or you got to splice tape. Just think about that.
Oh no, I don't.
There's no more of that,
man.
We don't got to splice tape. We don't got to do none of that no more.
I mean, we live in the age of, I guess it's the good and the bad of everybody can create music. It's a good thing everybody can create music, and sometimes it's a bad thing.
Great thing,
it's
a terrible thing at the same time, right?
How was it looked at? I mean, industry wide when you're dealing. I mean, I'm sure the conversation has to come up. I mean, it's a lot of people have launched their careers from a bedroom, but you have people where it's like, look. These people in the analog days, you had to have the skill, the talent. You had to be a master of the craft.
Yeah, and it cost so much to make a record back then, just from studio time. Tape wasn't just more difficult to use; it was also very expensive. And if you go over the same part of tape more than once, it degrades every time you do that. So if you don't sing it right and you go punch it, you only got a few times to do that before the tape degrades, and it doesn't have highs anymore. So you got to think about it. Think about, the way you make me feel, the backgrounds on the way you make me feel, right? How tight they are and how Michael killed those backgrounds and sang all of them. And then think about how many times he could mess up. It's a whole different. He couldn't mess up as many times as we can mess up.
Yeah.
Because then you got to change the tape.
Oh my God.
That stuff, you had to be crazy to be able to do anything back then, which, it was a natural filter. It filtered out people who don't know what they're doing because you couldn't do it. Now, not so much. And you do have times when we're in the studio and we're like, why do we work so hard? Why do we even do it? Like, why do we care so much? But
you know what I did want to ask you, and I meant to ask it before, but something like the MiniFuse. We're talking obviously music production and instrumentation. What about for just like podcasting? Someone who's just a content creator, are you gonna have like XLR inputs, and can you essentially do whatever if I wanted to produce Danny and I's nice little living room production that we do here for the event space, could I do that with something like the MiniFuse?
100%.
Okay,
yes, you can.
So it's okay. See, because in my head, I'm thinking all music related. I'm like, man, I don't play any instruments, but
it's sound related.
Okay.
It's more than music related. It's sound related. Because again, you have two people can monitor from that one little device. Technically, 4 people can monitor from that one little device. So if you got people in the other part of the room working on stuff while you're working and need to hear too, they can. You have several inputs that you can pull in from wherever. A lot of times you only need 2 in a podcast, but sometimes you have a few people, so you got enough plugs for everybody. And you can have a Bluetooth source if you want to, literally on your podcast, which, I mean, things like that take it even to the next level.
Yeah. Well, and
somebody can play what's in their phone. Like they just did, I just worked on this song. Can I let you hear it? You can hit the Bluetooth button and then you can hear that.
See, it's crazy. I'm asking because I'm looking at the price and I'm like, because when you think audio, I mean, people like me, I always think audio and I'm thinking, man, dollar signs.
Yeah.
The price, it's such a low price, and to be able to do all that, I'm thinking, why would anybody not want to have something like that? Because of what you just said, it's the opportunity that if you have somebody, if you do a podcast, you might talk in 99% of your podcast, but hey, you bring somebody who wants to play an instrument or the Bluetooth stuff. That's wild.
Yeah, and you got your keyboard, you got whatever source coming in there. You can route it wherever you want to route it. You can bring it in ADAT if you want to. If you run out of XLRs, you can, or quarter inches, because you got combo jacks, which are either. So it's just it's really for anybody who wants to route sound from one place to another. It's really anybody who wants to do that can use it. So all right, so we got an organ.
Church now.
Yeah. It's kind of sounds like a pipe organ right now. So, okay, see, look. Here's my drawbars. All right. So, for some reason, this is... Hey, let me go back.
Everything. It's just wild to me that everything's mimicked. Everything you have there.
Yeah, like, it's literally...
Screen.
Like, you'll hear nothing if you do that, right? But I want to pull... Like, if I'm in a situation sometime... Right, so let me see. Chord organ, church chords. Let's go here. All right, let's go to the default. All right, first I'm gonna do is turn that off. So let's go there. Did Leslie kick in?
If you ever join a church choir again, you gotta let me know where it is. I'll show up.
I was in a church game for a minute. I left. I left the church game. It's like it's a whole nother situation over there. But the cool thing about it though is you get live experience every week, no matter what. Yeah. So playing for church, literally church playing is the single best way to get nice. Just whoever, look, again, the first thing I did when I picked up guitar, hey man, Wayne Buckner was his name. Wayne, I see you don't have a guitarist here. Can I just come here and play? I didn't care if they paid me or not, because I wasn't doing it for that. I was doing it to get nice. And I know I'm going to have to get nice if I'm in front of 2,000 people that I go to school with, that I know.
Yeah, no choice.
So I'm going to be nice at the end of this. I don't know about the beginning of this, but at the end of this, I'm going to be sweet. So that was it. But I didn't even know at the time I was going to move to California. I wasn't even thinking about moving to LA and playing everywhere on guitar. That wasn't. I wish I could say the moment I picked up a guitar, I knew what I was going to do when I got to California. And that's why I just got nice, because I wanted to get nice. And I realized this is something I can actually do. So I'm just the kind of person if I see the aptitude that I have on something, I'm going to go as far as it'll take me. So I just did that for the sake of doing it. And then when California happened, it happened to be the best thing I could have possibly done, because it was that portable, and that's what they needed in this town. It's a big town, but it's a small town, just like any other Nashville or anything like that. A lot of people, but not a lot of people at the same time. Everybody knows who everybody is. Everybody at these clubs that I'm playing at is used to the same people. They're used to seeing the same 3 or 4 guitarists in this town, period. So when there's one that's new, that's where everybody looks on stage, because everybody else on this stage I've seen a million times before. That's the only person I haven't seen. So I commanded attention just by being there. And at the time, it's a lot of keyboard players, not a lot of guitar players. So it all worked out super well for me when I got here because of those factors, but I wasn't thinking about that when I started playing. I was just like, okay, well, if I can get nice, let me get nice.
I love that. I love that. Normally, normally it's like we have somebody on. It's like, what do you tell people starting out? It's like, but you just dropped gems for an hour. You took us to the South. You took us to Compton. You took us to church.
Right.
You brought us along. You took us
Right.
all around the software, the hardware,
Yeah.
DAWs, and audio interfaces and everything. I mean, look, I promise I'm not going to start a SoundCloud account today. I wouldn't. I
Hey,
wouldn't
do
do
it,
that to
bro.
the world.
Do it.
I wouldn't do that. Look, my son's the pianist in the family. I'll stay behind the camera. I do know that now. I mean, this was great for me to see that music. I mean, look, you made it not so intimidating. You made it look
Yeah.
like something where it's like, and just got to shout out Arturia because it's like, man,
Got to.
I feel like I could jump on and it wouldn't be good, but you stick with something, 10,000 hours. This
It
makes
will
the
be.
10,000 hours a hell of a lot easier when
Yeah,
you
it
have
might make it
everything
eight.
right there.
It might make it 8,000 hours.
There we go. We just shaved 2,000 hours
off your mastery time.
There we go. I'll see you guys in 8,000 hours. Now, Bluetooth, I can't thank you enough, man. This was great. This wasn't even work right now. I got to hang out,
Nah,
listen to music, get a little bit of audio education. I want to thank you. I want to thank the entire Arturia team, Ian, David, everyone else behind the scenes who made this happen. And look, man, I'm gonna give you the final words here. Any shout outs you want to give, any places you want to direct us, any projects you have going on, take us out here, man.
absolutely. It's a couple things. One, the Christmas project is called A Blue Christmas.
Looking
Check
it
that
up.
out. Check that. There's a lot of goodies on there. Just
Oh,
check
we
that out.
got
There's a
it.
lot of
There we go.
Arturia on there. Check that out. Also, I'm Blu2th, Bluetooth on Instagram, and my Instagram subscription area is where I do a lot of this stuff. So I go live when I make my music, and I show you exactly how I do it. This song that I got up from my Christmas project, I made it entirely on my live. So everyone who watches my live sees from scratch what I do, all the way through the mix and the master of the project. So it's a huge educational effort for me, the Instagram thing. So check that out if you want to know anything about that. I'm here. If you DM me, again, there's no way I could possibly show you everything even one of these things has. Like Analog Lab has 1 billion sounds in it by itself. So there's no way I can really take you through it without having you for a week. But if you have any questions about anything, DM me. I'll get back to you.
Awesome. Can't thank you enough. I already downloaded the Christmas album on my Spotify here. I see you got Marsha Ambrosius on there. All right.
Marsha Ambrosius is on there.
We're,
Corey Henry's on there. Ashley J is on there.
yeah, we're busting it out. I'm going to be introducing the fam to it over here in the Bronx. I want to send a
Thank you,
huge
sir.
thank you again to Blu2th and the Arturia fam for making this happen, and to all of our viewers out there watching, listening. Thank you as well. But that's it. Another round of the B&H virtual event space is in the books. We'll catch y'all next time.